Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I've got bingo-y tiles, but I don't have a bingo. What I'd like to do is play a short 3-letter word to keep a good 4-letter rack leave, and I can do that with door. Not great. I do have a scoring tile in the K, and I'm wondering if there is a bingo here. I don't think there's a 7. There could be an 8. There's knottier through an E, should one be played. In terms of sorting this rack out, tonk or tink would work quite well, or knit. Well, no E. And really I could use a vowel for this rack. So, how to sort it out? I don't think I can score well. Door takes a K, so I could certainly play knit down here. I was thinking about playing tonk above here to keep the I rather than the O. Tonk does take an S in front. 19 points. Well, still not a great rack. And by playing tonk rather than knit, I've allowed row K to remain available as a double-double for an E hook to blonde. So quite strategically, knit would have been better, but I prefer the I rather than the O because it's more bingo-y. And certainly at the beginning of the game, I'm looking to get to a bingo as soon as possible to establish a lead. 29 points for my opponent. Now, do I have a bingo here? It doesn't look bingo-y, but one must always look. There is the floating D of blonde and the N of blonde, and now the F of flu. Well, I can't see anything, so my priority is to play off one of the R's and the U, and I've got the H for score. I do have Hutier on my rack, but that keeps double R. I don't have an E for hooking blonde, which is annoying. That's been available for a while now. I could play Firth across here. 22 points, keeping AIT slightly vowel heavy. Is there somewhere better? I can't see a good way of playing parallel to flu. Now my U could go in front of TE, so there might be a play in column 9. Well, not that I can see. I could play hub for 16 points. Duplicate R isn't a disaster. What else is there? I'm looking for plays in row J to take out the E hook and getting the H on a triple letter square. Can't see a way of doing that. Well, I could play thud, but that's again keeping duplicate R. Well, what about playing just UR down here? It doesn't provide much for my opponents, and this is quite a good 5-letter rack leave, 14 points. Great, I draw an E. This looks like there's a bingo here. I have Thor ear, which hooks blonde. Can't see anywhere else to play that. And I don't think it has an anagram. The board is quite blocked now, so that hook may well be taken out. I'm looking in column 12 to see if... well, I'm going to suspend that look because Thoughtia plays. Fantastic. I don't think there's anywhere else for this. Thoughtia 85. Great score. Still 2 blanks out there. Not a great rack, too many vowels. I do have the Y for score. A play of Whitey, or Yitey rather, would get rid of 3 of those vowels, but it would also get rid of all the consonants. Now, there's a new word, I think it's A-I-Y double E, which would leave me with IT, which would be a better rack leave than after Yitey. I've not really looked at the board to see what's available yet. Well, AYE doesn't quite play underneath the T of Thoughtia. It fails in last spot. I've got tie-in, T-Y-I-N in column 8, but that's leaving 4 vowels. Not good. Blonde takes an R at the end, as well as an S. Now, what about Yitey in column 3 through the T of Thoughtia? That keeps EAT. Well, that's certainly the best I've seen so far. Dork takes a Y. So, although the rack leave of EA isn't great, Yitey in column 11 and Dorky is quite a good play. It's going to score well. Just 2 points for my opponent, and that looks pretty ominous. To get such a low score suggests to me that he's very close to a bingo and could well have a blank. Anyway, I don't think that affects my best play, which I think is Yitey here. Now, Yitey and Dorky, 29 points. Yitey is only 24 points. Is the T worth 5 points? Well, it's close. And if something's close, I'd rather keep the better rack leave. Not great. I draw 4 consonants, including the VF combination, which lacks synergy. If my opponent does play in row B, he'll be opening up the triple word squares in row A. And similarly, if he plays in row N. I do have fave on my rack, and faves and favest. Can't see any way great for any of those. I may have to settle for playing off just one of the V and F. Nice play by my opponent, 33 points. He doesn't really open up very much. Certainly nowhere great for my V or F. 14 minutes on my clock, 50 tiles in the bag. So what am I going to do? Well, I could play favest in row B, making sun. It would turn over a lot of tiles. It wouldn't be massively dangerous. 24 points, quite a good score. Or I could play knave and brown. 21 points. Do I have anything down from the H? And I could put the T in front of it and the E here. So I have ETHS. About 29 points, but that's keeping the F and the V. Not great. Okay, I can't see a way of playing a column 4. What about from L1 across? No. What about L2? No. This doesn't feel great. But it does get rid of my problem tiles and its scoring. And it's keeping the board open. So that if my opponent bingos, I have got opportunities to get back into the game. It just doesn't feel great they're playing off the S for a score in the low 20s. I don't have to jettison the F and the V. Now I'm just wondering about playing Feast. Nope, that's not going to work. Brown, not good. Okay, I'm going with Favest. Six random tiles, so not surprisingly a mixed bag, but fairly balanced in terms of vowels and consonants, and I do have one of the big scoring tiles in the X. No fabulous X spots immediately available. I'm looking in column 4 because PI takes an X after it, so I could have a play beginning EX, H. Can't see such a play. I do have Hoax down from the H of Thoria. It's keeping the V and the M, which isn't great. I suppose my ideal play would be Vox somewhere, keeping AEMN. That's quite a good 4-letter set. Nice bingo by my opponent, 79 points. He doesn't use a blank, so they're both still out there. So, where for my X? Now I could play Axemen up here. Which is 53 points, which is a good score. I don't think I can play the X and the V for anything like that amount. And I'm turning over 5 tiles, which is good, given that there are 2 blanks out there. And there is one of them. Fantastic. I've got the V still, having kept it from last go. There may be a bingo here. I've got Bovid on my rack. And I've got the Vibe opening. I mention those in case they prompt a bingo to pop into my mind, but they haven't so far. I've got a 60-point lead, but my opponent's on turn. I'm looking at the floaters on the board. There's the final 3 letters in airside. And there's the E of Yiti and the A of Thoya. The D and the S slightly work against each other because they both want to end the word. Now through an E I would have overbids, and there is an E in Yiti. So I shall have to hope that that remains available. I would have oven birds through EN. This board is quite open, so there are opportunities in lots of places, so the E of Yeti might remain available. While my opponent's clock is ticking down, I think I'll run through the alphabet. And I'm mainly looking for sevens, but hopefully I'm open to longer words as well. I haven't seen anything yet. That's overbids. Okay, so all I can see is overbids. So what to do if that is blocked? Certainly it would be nice to get rid of the V and the B. I think the only play which does that is bovid, and I haven't seen anywhere to play that yet. So I may end up keeping the B. Certainly it's more important to get rid of the V. I'm wondering about vibrioids, but that is a 9-letter word, and I don't feel confident about it. Bovid plays off a lot of tiles. It would be nicer to play off fewer, because the D and the I are quite bingo-y. Well, my opponent's taking a while. He could have the other blank. He could be close to a bingo. I'm scanning the board for spots to play bovid. I haven't seen anywhere yet. And really, I haven't seen anything apart from my bingo. I've got the ob prefix. Ah, blocked. Echo doesn't take an arm. How annoying. And a good score for my opponent as well, so pretty disappointing stuff. I'm only 30 points ahead now. I wasn't able to use my opponent's time to find a good play, and I've now got to use my own time to do that. So where can I play my V? 10 minutes on my clock. Bovid goes nowhere. I could play div down here. Not great because it's taking out floaters when I've got the blank. So I could play Vin across here for not very much. I could play Avoid down here for not very much again. I think that's the problem. My V can play, but it's scoring nothing. And then my lead could vanish. I could play Vow. I think that's the best rack leave I've seen so far, and it's not blocking anything. This really feels pretty poor. IO takes a B in front, But if I played in column 2, I can't get rid of the V, and I need to do that. I've got the blank I need to bingo. I'd like to play off the B and the D, B or the D as well. Okay, well, I think I've spent enough on this move. Well, not great. I'm looking to bingo, and I draw the Z, which is not a bingo-y tile, and the G, which lacks synergy with the D. So that's not a great pickup. I've got Biz on my rack. That doesn't work in column 2. I can't see a way of getting the Z on the triple letter square just underneath the C here. I've only got one vowel. My opponent seems to have them, and he's now just 17 points behind. Zig would sort the rack out. And I can't see a way of playing that. 7 minutes on my clock. Suddenly this has become really tricky. I can't get my Z on this triple letter square either. Nowhere for zigs. My opponent has blocked the spot for playing zigs across here. So that's twice now he's blocked a good spot for me. And only 7 minutes on my clock. What about playing Biz here? How reckless is this? I'm keeping DG, which isn't good. 32 points is a good score. My opponent may have difficulty finding a play with Z in second place and may play a short play beginning with Z, which could open up a bingo lane. This feels pretty reckless, but I've got the blank and it's an open board. There are bingo lanes available, so I'm inclined to go with this. I draw 2 Gs, which is dreadful. Ig is good, which I could play in column 13. But it's not scoring. But that's one of the plus points of playing Biz for 32. If I'd carried on scoring just tiny amounts, my opponent could get a lead without needing to do anything fancy. But this is pretty grim. Diggings is good, so I think. So that I would have that through an I or an N. 45 points for my opponent, and he has, so not great, but he has opened up another bingo lane, which is good. He's just 4 points behind now. So where can I play Ig or Gig? I certainly have to play off 2 Gs. The alternative, since Ig scores only 10 points and keeps DG, I'm inclined to change all 3 Gs. I think this is quite a bingo-y rack leave DIS blank. Great. I feel much better now. I have additions in column 15. I have ditones in row N, so I am bingoing. Is additions the best? The Z and the X and the J have all gone. I mention that because additions places the O next to this triple letter square, so that's not massively dangerous. I don't have to waste time trying to find a play which doesn't put a vowel there. I have stonied and browse in column 12. And I say that because ditones is a rubbish bingo in row N. Almost anywhere else would be better. It doesn't get doubled and it opens up row O. So certainly stonied is better, but additions remains available. Fantastic. And my opponent only scores 17 points. So he's got a 13-point lead. That's about to vanish. 5 minutes on the clock. Okay, so I'm in reasonable shape. Edition 77. And I draw the second blank. Fantastic. And I pick back one of my G's. I've got only one vowel. Through an I would have tripling. I have airside in the wrong spot. And still several bingo lanes open on this board. 9 tiles left. But the Q's still out there and 2 U's. So my opponent could come back with a big non-bingo-y play. I'm wondering if I have a 7-letter bingo, in which case the blank would be a vowel or a Y. I'm just mentally running through the blank as a vowel. Can't see anything there. Now I can play pig and pun. Keeping LRT blank, which is pretty good. No L's and no T's left and just one R. It would, however, provide a massive opportunity for a QU play in column 12, so I don't fancy that. 7 tiles in the bag, and I've got a 36-point lead. What I could do is play prig. And then, although my opponent's got a QU spot down here for a 4-letter play, he's not going to score massively down there. Maybe 30, possibly 40 points. Prig is 19. Rack leave, quite good. LT blank. By playing off 4 tiles, I'm significantly depleting the bag. Only 3 tiles left after this. And I note my opponent's played the U, so he probably didn't have the Q. So now there's only 1 U to go with the outstanding Q. 3 minutes on my clock. Have I missed a much better spot? I don't have, although I've played here, it's straight after where my opponent's played, so my eye was drawn to the opportunity he provided. But it's not a fabulous score. However, I have only the P as a scoring tile. I need to bear in mind that blonde still takes an R on an S. I think I will play this. I think strategically this is pretty good, and I like the fact that it's burning 4 tiles. I dodged the Q, but don't draw the U, and still have only 1 vowel. And even if my opponent has the Q and the U, there aren't a great deal of short QU words available with these racks. Now, it's annoying not to have another vowel, given that I have the blank. I'm just considering the blank as a vowel. Can't see anything with an A or an E, or an I, or an O, or a U, or a Y. So I don't think I have a bingo here. I do have a 55-point lead. And I think the only thing which would be which would threaten my victory would be if my opponent were to bingo, and this doesn't look that bingo-y, the remaining 10 tiles. And my H can go underneath the C. 3 minutes on my clock, 7 minutes on my opponent's clock. A play of HM would sort the rack out, and I'd quite like to slow down the end of the game, because I have the blank and I'd like to bingo, but with only 3 tiles in the bag, I may not have the opportunity to do that. My opponent may exhaust the bag or leave just 1 tile. I note that HM does play underneath the C of can, so I do have somewhere to play it if my opponent were to play off only 1 tile. I'm just looking around for any floaters for 8-letter words, and I don't think there are any. So quite a tight board. Now my opponent does play off 2 tiles. I can see what's left. I don't think there's a bingo with the Q. So supposing the Q is in the bag, is there a bingo with the remaining tiles? I don't think there is. Now, do I have a bingo if I play off just 1 tile? Or should I be aiming to go out in 2? And I can do that by burning off a lot of tiles. So I think I'll aim to go out in 2. So I can play meth across here, keeping GL something. That's fairly robust rack leave. 25 points is good for meth. I'm not setting up anywhere massive for the Q. Just checking that he doesn't have a QU play across here. He doesn't. If I draw the Q, if the Q is the last one in the bag, there's QI here, and I can use my blank as an I to make QI and MI. So I won't be stuck with it. I'm already 40 points ahead. This is going to put me 60 points ahead. So I think this is enough. The only thing which will kill me now is if I've overlooked a bingo. But I don't think those tiles make one. Well, my opponent would have a bingo through a G. He would have Squegger, but no floating Gs available. And I have drawn a blank, so I'm pretty sure I can go out with this. Or can I? I've got 1 minute to find an out. Well, I've got GOLE across here. Yep, 44 points for my opponent. He's still 24 behind. He's got the G, so I just need to go out, and I've got 1 minute to find an out. I think I shall go out with glory. $14 points. Just wait for my opponent to formally end the game. Which he does. And the final score, 366 to my opponent, 408 to me. A winning margin of 42 points. So not a massively high-scoring game, but a win nonetheless. Let's see what I missed. It was me to go first. Well, quite a few long words. I prefer a shorter word. This was my opponent's rack. Awful. He played blonde, and this was my rack. Ah, door takes an O in front, so I had not and Oda. That would have been nice. What did I do? I did Tonk and Dork for 19. Yeah, I could have done Tonk and Oda, which would have been better. My opponent's rack, he plays Flu. This was my rack, and this was a struggle, and you can see why. I wanted to get rid of the U, and most of the suggestions here keep the U, and the one which doesn't, Firth, opens up the triple word column. So I played UR for 14, but kept a much better rack leave than here. My opponent's rack, he plays Can, and that play played off, and whenever you are sacrificing points, you're doing it for the sake of rack leave, and the whole point of having a good rack leave is to increase your chances of bingoing next go, and in this instance it paid off. So I had Thoya for 85, which I saw also available, which I didn't see was Tarwine through the N. Nice rack for my opponent. Does he have a bingo? Yes, he does. He has Spurie, which he didn't spot. He played Un instead. So this was the point at which I inferred he had a good rack, and in fact he kept Praise, which is an excellent 6-letter set. This is my rack. I played Yaiti for 24. The other Yaiti I mentioned scored 5 more. I don't think I is great. Not a 3 vowels including a duplicate I is not good with only one consonant, so I like my play. And my opponent, having kept praise, drew the J, which is pretty annoying. He didn't have a bingo. He would have done with most other tiles, I think. Anyway, he played Jap for 33. This was my rack. I really struggled here. I played Favest, which didn't feel great. But look at the rack leaves down here. Nothing to feel great about. So, and the score for Favest 23 compares reasonably well with the suggestions here. It does, however, burn the S, so it may well be that some of these plays were better. For example, Nav and None looks quite a nice play, 20 points, keeping fast. And this was my opponent's rack. He does have airside. Wow, it was the only bingo, so if I'd played None, that would have been blocked. Now, my rack, I played Axemen for 53, and I could have played Venom and kept AX. 10-point sacrifice. The X is a non-bingo-y tile, so I think I prefer Axemen. Not nice for my opponent. He certainly had the vowels and I didn't. And he blocked my bingo, but did I have another one? No, I didn't. And I really struggled here. I wanted to keep hold of my S and burn the B and the V. And I don't think any of these plays do that. So I played Vow for 11. Yeah, BI for 30 would have been better. I think I was too focused on getting rid of the V. Every letter has its price, and I think 19 points is enough to keep the V on the rack. Now, this was my... then my opponent played AI, and then this was my rack. And I played Biz. It didn't feel great because it's hanging the Z out there, but the score was good. C11 Fizz. Yep, I think that would have also been pretty good. And those were the only two plays up around the 30 mark. So 45 points for my opponent. He was now breathing down my neck. I had just a 4-point lead and I had 3 Gs. And the scores here are rubbish. The rack leaves are poor, so I'm glad I changed. My opponent had QU for a long time. He could have played them off. He didn't. He played Dali. And the change paid off. I had additions and other bingos. My opponent's rack, he plays U. And this is where I played Prig. And that actually looks fine, although I didn't spend very long looking for a better play. My opponent played Foe. Now 1 tile in the bag. I've got a 40-point lead. And, well, none of these moves look great. I had in mind to go out in 2. I played Meth, which I think enabled that. My opponent plays Queers, and I played Glory for 14. D1, I could have played Glob across here for 4 more points. So, pretty good game. I felt that my lead was slender and was quite vulnerable, but in fact the Q in the bag and the remaining tiles were not especially bingo-y, so I was able to hang on. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.